is the ultimate travel guide from the people who know it best. Weekends with Yankee.
I'm in the village of Essex, Massachusetts, north of Boston. Essex is famous for being a center of shipbuilding, and the two-masted schooners that were built here and are still being built powered the Gloucester fishing industry for hundreds of years. I also like to come here for seafood because Essex is home to Woodman's, where the fried clam was invented and popularized. Steve, you know, one thing that always interests me about chowder is, even though the broad dish is generally pretty consistent, people have their own little variations on how they do it. So I'm curious how you guys do it here at Woodman's.
Well, we basically stick with the same recipe my Nana Bessie did back in 1914 when we first opened the roadside stand. It's very simple ingredients. We had potatoes, we had clams,
Right.
we had onions,
Right.
a little salt and pepper. And that's really the base for our chowder.
All right, well, let's get cooking. How do you start?
Well, first thing you do is you grab a potato. You just kind of peel it as you're going here.
This area around Ipswich and Essex, Massachusetts on the North Shore is really famous for the quality of its clams.
You know, in what they call the Essex Bay, is surrounded by the Great Marsh. That's where all the nutrients from the salt marsh get into the clam beds, and that's what the clams eat. The water,
just
they
like
filter
really
it out,
well-fed, happy clams.
And happy clams.
Happy
Exactly.
as a clam.
Yeah, people say happy as a clam, but it's actually happy as a clam at high tide.
Oh,
because at high tide
that's
you can't
great.
take them.
Right, right. Oh, that's so funny.
I've got some water here, which is about 2 cups of water. And what we have here is clam juice. It's a reduction. That's about a cup of onion to the 3 pounds of potatoes. And then we have salt and pepper, 1.5 tablespoons, and this is about 1 tablespoon of pepper. Bring it up to a boil, bring it down, let it cook slowly, and really let the potatoes soften up. And then after that, you'll lay your clams in.
So chowder is such an interesting dish with such a long history. Initially, it was something that fishermen would cook on the boat.
Leftovers. And I think that's kind of what chowder started off as, because it was cooked in a big cauldron.
And in fact, the name for that cauldron in France was a chaudière, which is where the name chowder comes
Chowder came from. Well, I think the English and maybe New Englanders butchered it and called it chowder. So it's called chowder, and then New England even goes chowder.
Chowder, right.
Broth in there, and some of the stock.
Oh my gosh, that looks...
And let the butter melt.
Oh, it smells so good.
That's good.
Really excellent.
It's hot too.
Well, this is really excellent clam chowder. I think I'm going to be even more sold on your approach to fried clams. I'd love to go taste them.
So here's where our station is.
There is some gorgeous looking seafood in there.
Yeah, we have scallops, we have fish, we have shrimp.
Okay, so show me how you make these great clams.
Okay, have the clams here. You put a few in there, cover them with the evaporated milk, shake the excess off, drop them in the corn flour. And you have to make sure that you cover them, all the nooks and crannies, get completely covered with the corn flour.
So they're nice and crispy all over.
All over,
the little,
that's right.
yeah. And now you've got a sifter?
That's right. A lot of holes in there.
Yep.
Shake the excess off.
Now that's not a ton of breading, and yet it does the job.
That's right.
Yeah.
You don't need much. So you take that and you bring them over to the fryer later.
Okay.
And you put them in.
They brown up really fast.
Yeah, they do.
I wish I had a big fryer like this at home, but I don't know. I could do it in a pot.
So let's go put them over here in the colander.
I love these little boats. These just make me think of summer and good seafood. These look delicious. Thank you.
I use my fingers, but I brought a pick anyway.
I use my fingers too. So, a lot of foods, a lot of beloved American foods, I think lots of people kind of claim to have invented them, but you guys have a very credible claim to having invented the fried clam.
What happened was, back in 1914, when my grandmother started selling clams, you know, the clams that he dug in the shell and shucking them out and selling them in gallons or pints or quarts, whatever people wanted. What he did is he brought in a fryolator. Well, a few people that were around kind of laughed at him. Who wants to eat a fried clam?
Right.
Luckily, it was in the summer. It was actually in July. So he put a big sign out, Essex fried clams.
Huh.
And people came in and tried them. And he took in $35 that day. That was in 1916, which is the most money he had ever taken in.
Right.
So he wasn't a stupid man. He kept them on the menu.
You know, it's always just such a delight to come in here. I salute Chubby Woodman for giving us this delicious thing to eat, and thank you for having us again.
Glad to have you, and to Chubby and Anna Bessie.
Yes. But I'm going to eat a few more of them before I go.
Okay.